On today's video, we're going to review our top 3 documentaries on filming experiences from hell. So get ready. This is Sandra. Welcome to Streamside TV. There are projects that seem impossible to achieve, and there are projects that seem doomed from the very beginning. So let's jump right in. Number 3. My Best Friend. Written and directed by Werner Herzog, this 1991 documentary explores the volatile relationship between director Werner Herzog and Dr. Klaus Kinski during the shooting of 1972's film AGUIRRE and the Wrath of God. Conducted by Herzog himself and showing raw footage of the film behind the scenes, this documentary brings us a whole personal and intimate experience of hell breaking loose before our eyes. Set in the Peruvian rainforest, the cast, crew, and natives had to climb mountains, cut trees, and sail the river. Kinski wanted to portray the Aguirre in a wild, over-the-top manner as usual, and Herzog wanted the exact opposite. For that reason, Herzog infuriated Kinski after each take, so he would burn out all the steam and seem right on camera. This toxic dynamic was so unbearable that at one point Herzog told Kinski that if he tried to leave the production one more time, he would shot him with his rifle 8 times, leaving the last shot for himself. In a landscape of boat accidents, limbs being chopped for snake bites, shots in the air, and constant runs from Kinski, at one point even murdering Kinski being offered by the tribe's chief, the production finally ended. And we are left with Herzog reflecting on his feelings towards Kinski, how beautiful and tender he was at times, and how he revered his evil talent, recounting of a friendship that would produce 4 more movies and lasted until Kinski's death in 1991. Number 2. Hearts of Darkness, a filmmaker's apocalypse. This 1991 documentary, directed by Fox Barr and George Hickenlooper with the collaboration of Eleanor Coppola, follows the production of Apocalypse Now in the Philippines. It opens up with Coppola during a press conference in Cannes Film Festival in 1979. His exact words were, and I quote, "My film is not a movie. My film is not about Vietnam. It is Vietnam." End quote. The film, loosely based in Conrad's novel Heart of Darkness, was an effort to portray Vietnam War in all its craziness. In its day, Orson Welles tried to make his first movie based on Conrad's novel, but the studio shut it down the project for a fear of going over budget. That was a cautionary tale for what was about to happen to Coppola. With a budget of $20 million of Coppola's own money, the family went to the Philippines, the youngest of the children, Sofia, being only 4. Little did they know they would end up sacrificing everything they had, even Coppola's own sanity, in a production that ended up lasting 238 days. The role of Captain Willard was for Harvey Keitel, only to be replaced mid-shooting by Martin Sheen. Sheen, who smoked 3 packs a day, would end up having a nervous breakdown that culminated on a massive heart attack on his 36th birthday. That was during the infamous hotel scene, where he would cut his thumb punching a mirror and insisting on keeping shooting until it was done. A few interesting facts about the production will help to illustrate the chaos. Helicopters were rented from the Filipino army, but because they were in the middle of the war, they would fly mid-take to fight the rebels 10 minutes away. Kurt's Cambodian temple was built for real by Filipino workers, only to be completely destroyed by a typhoon and had to be rebuilt again. Most of the cast used drugs during filming: weed, LSD, speed. Let's not forget that Larry Fishburne was only 14 at the time. Extras of the severed heads were buried from the neck down up to 10 hours a day. Apart from the inconveniences and delays, financial and emotional distress, there was Brando. Although he had been paid $1 million in advance, he arrived on set only 3 weeks before the shooting would end, hugely overweight and self-conscious about it, not knowing his lines, and ready to discuss and rewrite all his dialogue with Coppola. In the end, the movie would gross over $150 million and would win awards and praise as the masterpiece it is. Number 1. Lost Soul. The doomed journey of Richard Stanley's Island of Dr. Moreau. This 2014 documentary, directed by David Gregory, presents a series of testimonials by directors, producers, cast and crew, together with some raw footage from the set of the infamous film, and the end of a promising filmmaker's career. Based on H.G. Wells' novel, it seems there were problems even before anybody made an attempt to create a screen adaptation. A year after Wells finished his book, Conrad published Heart of Darkness, creating a feud between the two friends for the obvious similarities between both stories. This project responded to Richard Stanley's obsession with the book and how wrong previous versions were from his perspective. He wrote the script and produced a series of sketches about his view to show producers. Originally, he thought of Jürgen Prochnow to portray Moreau, for his Christ-like figure fitted Stanley's take on the character. Finally, New Line Cinema decided Brando would play Moreau, and unfortunately for Stanley, wanted Polanski to direct the film. So he decided to pay Brando a visit, which resulted in New Line agreeing in the end. Let's not forget that Richard had only worked in 2 projects previously. At first, James Woods and Bruce Willis were to appear, but were replaced by Val Kilmer and Rob Morrow. Fairuza Balk was also casted as the Panther Woman. New Line decided to send Stanley to Queensland in advance to start pre-production. According to some crew members, he showed early signs of insecurity and paranoia right from the start. At that time, they started to cast the animals and work on makeup and prosthetics. They also cast the smallest man in the world, who later on would basically end up playing Brando's mini-me and creating his own set of problems. Stanley, overwhelmed with the stars creating tensions and the crew not trusting him, started to isolate himself and subsequently getting more paranoid. Then a hurricane destroyed the set, and Richard was finally fired and replaced by John Frankenheimer. Then, New Line paid Richard in full, with the only condition of never again set foot on the set. After that, all actors were forced by contract to stay in the project, which resulted on Brandon Kilmer boycotting the film in any way possible. Then the Australian crew started to revel, and the animals partying like crazy from dusk till dawn and consuming all sorts of drugs. After a while, some of the extras found Stanley living in the jungle and decided to give him one of the costumes so he could be on set every day, in disguise. The Island of Dr. Moreau was a total flop, but for all its craziness, all the chaos, the mental breakdowns, and the abnormalities, it's our #1 filming experience from hell. Again, thank you so much for your time. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe. See you next. Bye-bye.